Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Darati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapatakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमां विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनारित्यन्दस्तो यभद्राणि विदुनुति सुहृत्सतां नस्तप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भागवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of God who is praised with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Rushikesh Prabhu Tanarpram Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam Jai Shri Prabhupada. Prabhuji, you were showing the lecture now. It was a Q&A session, right?
It was today's
The
lecture.
okay.
Oh, my computer froze. What?
Pranam Jai Shri Prabhupada. Prabhuji, you were
Yes, Prabhu, it was today's lecture.
1-2-23.
Yeah, this was a really nice one.
Yes, Prabhu,
Vishnu worship. 1-2-19. Must learn how to counter this argument. You understand? When you say the three, among the three, Vishnu is not the same as the other two. I think there's a word about that. 1-2-19, is it?
3-4-11 Shri Bhagavanuvacha Vedaham antarmana sipsitam te dadami yatta duravapam Anyai Satre Pura Vishvasrijam Vashunam Matsiddhikamena Vasotvayeshta. Shri Bhagavanuvacha, the person of Godhead said, Veda known, Aham I. Anta within, Manasi the mind, Ipsitam, what you desired. Te your, Tadami I give you, Yat which is, that, Durabapana, Durabapam, very difficult to achieve, Anyai by others, Satre in the sacrifice, Pura in the days of yore, Vishvasarjam, of those who expanded this creation, Vasunam, of the Vasus, Matsiddhikamena, with desire to achieve my association, Vaso, O Vasu, Tvaya, by you, Ishta, ultimate goal of life. Translation. O Vasu, I know from within your mind that you desired in the days of yore, when the Vasus and other demigods who are responsible for expanding the universal affairs performed sacrifices. You particularly desire to achieve my association. This is very difficult to obtain for others, but I award it to you. So who is speaking? Oh, Krishna is speaking. Maitreya Muni was greatly attached to him, the Lord, and he was listening in a pleasing attitude with his shoulder lowered, with a smile and a particular glance upon me, having allowed me to rest. The Lord spoke as follows. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Uddhava is one of the eternal associates of the Lord, and a plenary portion of Uddhava was one of the 8 Vasus in the days of yore. The 8 Vasus and the demigods in the upper planetary system, who are responsible for the management of the universal affairs, performed a sacrifice in the days of yore, desiring to fulfill their respective ultimate goals in life. At that time, an expansion of Uddhava, acting as one of the Vasus, desired to become an associate of the Lord. The Lord knew this because He is present in the heart of every living entity as Paramatma, the superconsciousness. In everyone's heart, there is representation of the superconsciousness. I had forgotten the superconsciousness word. Who gives memory to the partial consciousness of every living entity. The living entity, the living entity as partial consciousness forgets incidences of his past life, but the superconsciousness reminds him how to act in terms of his past cultivation of knowledge. Bhagavad Gita confirms this fact in various ways. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajam aham. 4:11 Sarvascha chaham hridi sannivishto mattasmritirgyanam apahanam cha. 15:15 Everyone is at liberty to desire as he likes, but the desire is fulfilled by the Supreme Lord. Everyone is independent to think or desire, but the fulfillment of one's desire depends on the Supreme Will. This law is expressed as man proposes, God disposes. In the days of yore, when the demigods and Vasus performed sacrifice, Uddhava, as one of the Vasus, desired to enter into the association of the Lord, which is very difficult for those busy in empiric philosophical speculation or fruitive activities. Such persons have practically no information of the facts about becoming an associate of the Lord. Only the pure devotees can know, by the mercy of the Lord, that the personal association of the Lord is the highest perfection of life. The Lord assured Uddhava that he would fulfill his desire. It appears that when the Lord informed him by his indication to Uddhava, the great sage Maitreya finally became aware of the importance of entering into the association of the Lord. Sa esa sado charamo bhavanam asaditaste mad anugraho yat yanmam rilokan raha utsrajantam dishtya dadrishvan vishadanu. Saha, that is Shaha of those, Sado, O honest one, Charama, the ultimate, Bhavanam, of all your incarnations, as Vasu, Asadita, now achieved, Te, unto you, Matmai, Anugraha, mercy, yet as it is, yet because, Mam, me, Nrilokan, the planets of the conditioned souls, Raha, in seclusion, Utsrajantam, while greeting, Tishtya, by seeing, Tadrishvan, what you have seen, Vishadanu Vritya, by unflinching devotion. Translation. O honest one, your present life is the last and the supermost because in this term of your of life you have been awarded my ultimate favor. Now you can go to my transcendental abode, Vaikunta, by leaving this universe of conditioned living entities. Your visit to me in this lonely place, because of your pure and unflinching devotional service, is a great boon for you. Purport. When a person is fully conversant with knowledge of the Lord, as far as can be known by a perfect living entity in the liberated stage, he is allowed to enter into the spiritual sky, where the Vaikunta planets exist. The Lord was sitting in a lonely place, just about to disappear from the vision of the inhabitants of this universe, and Uddhava was fortunate to see him even at that time and thus received the Lord's permission to enter Vaikunta. The Lord is everywhere at all times, and his appearance and disappearance are merely the experience of the inhabitants of a particular universe. He is just like the sun. The sun does not appear or disappear in the sky. But it is only in the experience of man that in the morning the sun rises, and in the evening the sun sets. The Lord is simultaneously both in Vaikunta and everywhere within and without Vaikunta. Text 13. Pura maya proktamaja ajayanabhye padme nishannaya mama disarge jnanam paramman mahima vabhasham yatsurayo bhagavatam vadanti. Pura, in the days of yore, Maya by me, Proktam was said, Ajaya, unto Brahma, Nabhye, out of the navel, Padme, on the lotus, Nishannaya, unto the one situated on, Mama, my, Adisarga, in the beginning of creation, Jnanam, knowledge, Param, sublime, Mat, Mahima, by transcendental glories, Avabhasham, that which clarifies, Yat which Suraya, the great learned sages, Bhagavatam, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Varanti, do say. Translation. O Uddhava, in the lotus millennium, in the days of yore, at the beginning of the creation, I spoke unto Brahma, who is situated on the lotus which grows out of my navel, about my transcendental glories, which the great sages describe as Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So in the beginning, Krishna spoke the Bhagavatam to Brahma. Purport. The explanation of the Supreme Self as given to Brahman, already explained in the second canto of this great literature, is further clarified herein. The Lord said that the conscious, giving the relation or necessary information. The Lord said that the conscious form of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, as explained to Brahma, was meant to elucidate his personality. The impersonal explanation of those 4 verses in the second canto is nullified herewith. Sridhar Swami also explains in this connection that the same conscious form of the Bhagavatam concerned the pastimes of Lord Krishna and was never meant for impersonal indulgence. Text number 14. Itya tritokta paramasya pumsa प्रतीक्षणानुग्रहभाजनोऽहं स्नेहोत्तरमास्खलिताक्षरस्तं मुञ्चन् शुचः प्राञ्जलिराबभासे. Pranjal, Prabhu. But where is he? He's missing. He's always here. What is happening today? Is the tag not working or something? Let's tag them again. Are they having some Saturday party? What is happening? Oh, there is the yatra going on. That's why Praveen is not joining, I think. They are going to. I think the yatra started today. So maybe that's why some are not joining. They're going to Mayapur or something. T thus Adrita being favored. Ukta addressed. Paramasya of the Supreme. Pumsa personality of Godhead. Pratikshana every moment. Anugraha bhajana object of favor. Aham myself. Sneha affection. Uttha eruption. Roma hairs on the body. Skalita slackened. Akshara of the eyes. Tam that. Munchan smearing. Sucha tears. Pranjali with folded hands. Baba say translation. Uddhava said, O Vidura, when I was thus favored at every moment by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and addressed by him with great affection, my words failed in tears, and the hairs of my body erupted. After smearing my tears, I, with folded hands, spoke like this. Text 15. Konvijate pada sarojabhajam sudurlabho drite suchatursvapiha tatapi naham pravrnomi puman bhavatpadam bhojanishevanochuka kahnu isha. O my Lord, kahnu isha, te, your, pada sarojabhajam, of the devotees engaged in the transcendental loving service of your lotus feet. Sudurlabha, very difficult to obtain. Artesu, in the matter of. Chaturshu, in the four objectives. Api, in spite of. Iha, in this world. Tatapi, yet. Na, do not. Aham, I. Pravrinomi, prefer. Bhuman, O Great One. Bhavad, your. Padam, Bojal, lotus feet. Nisevana, Utsuka, anxious to serve. Translation. O my Lord, devotees who engage in the transcendental loving service of your lotus feet have no difficulty in achieving anything within the realm of the four principles of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. But O great one, as far as I am concerned, I have preferred only to engage in the loving service of your lotus feet. Hmm. Those who are associated with the Lord in the Vaikuntha planets achieve all the bodily features of the Lord and appear to be the same as the Lord Vishnu. Such liberation is called Sarupya Mukti, which is one of the five kinds of liberation. The devotees engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord never accept Sayuja Mukti, or merging into the rays of the Lord called the Brahmajyoti. The devotees can achieve not only liberation, but any success in the realm of religiosity, economic development, or sense gratification, up to the standard of the demigods in the heavenly planets. But such a pure devotee as Uddhava refuses to accept all such facilities. A pure devotee wants simply to be engaged in the service of the Lord and does not consider his own personal benefit. Okay, one more. Karmanyaniha bhavo bhavasyate durgashrayo taribayat palayanam kalatmano yat pramada yutashraya svatmandrate khidyati dirvidamiha. Karmani, activities, anihasya, of one who has no desire, bhavaha, birth, abhavasya, of one who is never born, te, your, durga, ashraya, taking shelter of the fort, atha, thereafter, aribayat, out of fear of the enemies, palayanam, flee, kala, atmana, of he who is the controller of eternal time, yat, that, pramada, yuta, in the association of woman, ashrama, household life, svatman, by your own self, rate, one who enjoys, kidyati, disturbs, the intelligence, vidam, of the learned, iha, in this world. Translation. My lord, even the learned sages become disturbed in their intelligence when they see that your greatness engages in fruitive work although you are free from all desires, that you take birth although you are unborn, that you flee out of fear of the enemy and take shelter in fort although you are the controller of invincible time, and that you enjoy householder life surrounded by many women although you enjoy in yourself. Purport. Pure devotees of the Lord are not very much concerned with philosophical speculation in regard to transcendental knowledge of the Lord, nor is it possible to acquire complete knowledge of the Lord. Whatever little knowledge they have about the Lord is sufficient for them because they are simply satisfied in hearing and chanting about the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. This gives them all transcendental bliss, but some of the pastimes of the Lord appear contradictory even to such pure devotees. And thus Uddhava asked the Lord about some of the contradictory incidences in his pastimes. The Lord is described as having nothing to do personally, and it is actually so because even in the creation and sustenance of the material world, the Lord has nothing to do. It seems contradictory then to hear that the Lord personally lifts the Govardhan hill for the protection of his unallied devotees. The Lord is the supreme Brahman, the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead appearing like a man, but Uddhava had doubts whether he could have so many transcendental activities. There is no difference between the personality of Godhead and the impersonal Brahman. How then can the Lord have so many things to do, whereas the impersonal Brahman is stated to have nothing to do either materially or spiritually? If the Lord is ever unborn, how then is he born as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki? He is fearful even to Kala, the supreme fear, and yet the Lord is afraid of fighting Jarasandha and takes shelter in a fort. How can one who is full in himself take pleasure in the association of many women? How can he take wives and just like a householder take pleasure in the association of family members, children, relatives, and parents? All these apparently contradictory happenings bewilder even the greatest learned scholars, who thus bewildered cannot understand whether inactivity is a fact or whether his activities are only imitations. The solution is that the Lord has nothing to do with anything mundane. All his activities are transcendental. This cannot be understood by the mundane speculators. For the mundane speculator, there is certainly a kind of bewilderment. But for the transcendental devotees, there is nothing astonishing in this. The Brahman conception of the Absolute Truth is certainly the negation of all mundane activities, but the Param Brahman conception is full with transcendental activities. One who knows the distinction between the conception of Brahman and the conception of Supreme Brahman is certainly the real transcendentalist. There is no bewilderment for such transcendentalists. The Lord Himself also declares in Bhagavad Gita, even the great sages and demigods can know hardly anything about my activities and transcendental potencies. Bhagavad Gita 10.2. The right explanation of the Lord's activities is given by grandfather Bhishma Dev in Bhagavatam 1.9.16 as follows. Nahyasya karhi chidrajan puman veda vidichitam yat vijignasya yukta muhyanti kavayopihi. Hare Hare Krishna, Pranjal Prabhu, Tanda Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. You were mentioned in the previous verse, Prabhu. See here. Haribol. Okay, who wants to read the next verse? Or the next verses?
Okay, Prabhu, can I read?
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, could you go up a little bit? Text 17. Mantreshu mam va upahuya yatvam akunti takanda sadatma bodha vichai prabhu mukta eva pramattastan no mana mohi tadeva. In Trisham consultations, Maman to move as leader. Upahuya by calling yet as much as Tom, your lordship, Akuntita, without hesitation, Akanda, without being separated, Sada, eternally Atma self for the intelligent Precha asked Prabhu, O my Lord Mukta bewildered, Eva as if it were so Mutta, Mutta never bewildered that was man of mind, Mohyati bewilders, Eva as it is so, Deva whom Lord. Translation purpose question basis of the transformation purpose of each translation. O my Lord, your eternal self is never divided by the influence of time. There is no limitation to a perfect knowledge. Thus, you are sufficiently able to consult with yourself. Yet you called upon me for consultation. Is it bewildered? Although you are never bewildered, and this act of yours bewilders me. Purport. Uddhava was never actually bewildered, but he says that all these contradictions appear to be bewildering. The whole discussion between Krishna and Uddhava was meant for the benefit of Maitreya, who was sitting nearby. The Lord used to call Uddhava for consultation when the city was attacked by Jarasandha and others, and when he executed great sacrifices as part of his routine trial work as Lord of Dwarka. The Lord has no past, present, and future because he is unhampered by the influence of eternal time, and thus nothing is hidden from him. He is eternally self-intelligent. Therefore, his calling for Uttava to give him intelligent enlightenment is certainly astonishing. All these actions of the Lord appear to be contradictory, although there is no contradiction in the routine activities of the Lord. Therefore, it is better to see them as they are and not attempt to explain them. Text 18. ज्ञानं परं स्वात्मरः प्रकाशं प्रभोष्यकस्मै भगवन् समग्रम् अपि क्षमं नो ग्रहण्य भरत वदञ्जस यद्वचनं परेम ज्ञानं knowledge param supreme so atma own self prabha mystery prakasham enlightening prabhu said kasmai into Ka Brahmaji, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Samakram in sum total Abhi Ipsa Kasanam, evil not unto me, Grahan Naya acceptable, Bharata, my Lord, Vada say Anajasya in detail, yet that which Vrijinam miseries, Prema can cross over translation. My Lord, kindly explain to us if you think us competent to receive it, that transcendental knowledge which gives enlightenment about yourself and which you explained before Brahmaji. Purport. A devotee like Uttava has no material afflictions because he engages constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. A devotee feels afflicted without the association of the Lord. Constant remembrance of the Lord's activities keeps the devotee alive, and therefore Uddhava requested that the Lord please enlighten him with the knowledge of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam as was previously instructed to Brahmaji. Yavedita Virodvayo Mahayam Sabhagavana Para Adite Sarvani Raksha Atmana Paramam Sthitam Iti Avedita, thus being prayed to be by me with Varadaya from the core of my heart, Mahayam unto me, Saha he, Bhagavan, the personality of God at Supreme, Aditesha instructed Aravinda Aksha, the lotus side, Atmana of himself, Paramam, transcendental Sthitam, situation, translation. When I thus expressed my heartfelt desires unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the lotus-eyed Lord instructed me about his transcendental situation. Purport: the words Paramam Sthitim are significant in this verse. The Lord's transcendental situation was not even spoken of to Brahma when the four verses of Srimad Bhagavatam were explained. Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam 2:9:30 to 33. This transcendental situation comprises dealings with the devotees engaged in transcendental loving service as exhibited at Dwarka and Vrindavan. When the Lord explained about the specific transcendental situation, it was meant for Uddhava only. Therefore, Uddhava particularly said, Mahayam, unto me, although the great sage Maitreya was also sitting there, such a transcendental situation is hardly understood by those whose devotion is mixed with speculative knowledge of fruitive activities. The Lord's activities and confidential love are very rarely disclosed to the general devotees who are attracted by devotion, mixed with knowledge and mysticism. Such activities are the inconceivable pastimes of the Lord. Text 20. So even text 20 so even ara ita padati tat adita tatvam tatvatma vibho vibhodha marga pranamya padopari ittadivam yagato viraha Atma. So myself, even thus Aradita worship Pada Tirtha, the personality of God, Adita studied Tattva Atma, self-knowledge, Vibodha, understanding, Varga, Vat Pranamya. After saluting Pada at his lotus feet, Pari, after circumambulating Devam, the Lord, Eva, at this place, Agravarish, Aham, I, Viraha, separation, Atma, engraved in this translation. I have studied the path of understanding self-knowledge from my spiritual master, the personality of Godhead, and thus, after circumambulating him, I have come to this place, very much aggrieved due to separation. But Srilatava's actual life is the direct symbol of Chatushloki Bhagavatam, and initiated first to Brahmaji by the personality of Godhead. These were very great and important verses from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam are particularly taken out by the Mayavadi speculators for construe a different purport to suit their impersonal view of monism. Here is the proper answer to such unauthorized speculators. The verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam are purely theistic science understandable by the postgraduate student of Bhagavad Gita. The unauthorized speculators are offenders at the lotus feet of the Lord Sri Krishna because they distort the purpose of Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad Bhagavatam. They mislead the public and prepare a direct path to hell known as Vandata as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 16:20. Such invest speculators are without knowledge and are surely condemned life after life. The unnecessarily take shelter of Shripad Shankaracharya, but he was not so drastic as to commit an offense at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. According to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shripad Shankaracharya preached an Avadi philosophy for a particular purpose. Such a philosophy was necessary to defeat the Buddhist philosophy of the non-existence of the spiritual soul, but it was never meant for perpetual acceptance. It was an emergency. Thus, Lord Sri Krishna was accepted by Shankaracharya as the Supreme Personality of God in his commentation in Bhagavad Gita. Since he was a great devotee of the Lord Krishna, he did not dare write any commentary on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam because that would have been a direct offense at the lotus feet of the Lord. But later speculators in the name of Mayavadi philosophy unnecessarily make their commentary in the Chatusloki Bhagavatam without any bona fide intent. The monistic speculators have no business in the Srimad Bhagavatam because this particular Vedic literature is forbidden for them by the great author himself. Srila Vyasdeva has definitely forbidden persons engaged in religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and final salvation from time to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, which is not meant for them. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:12. Sripad Sridhar Swami, the great commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam, has definitely forbidden selfishness and monist to read in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is not for them. Yet such unauthorized persons perversely try to understand Srimad Bhagavatam and thus they commit offense at the lotus feet of the Lord, which even Sripad Shankaracharya dared not to. Thus they prepare for the continuation of miserable life. It should be particularly noted herein that Uddhava studied the Chatusloki Bhagavatam directly from the Lord, who spoke them first to Brahmaji, and this time the Lord explained more confidentially the self-knowledge mentioned as the Paramam Sthiti. Upon learning such self-knowledge of love, Uddhava felt very much aggrieved by feelings of separation from the Lord, unless one is awakened to the stage of Uddhava, everlastingly feeling the separation of the Lord in transcendental love, as exhibited by Lord Chaitanya also. One cannot understand the real import of the four essential verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. One should not indulge in unauthorized art of twisting the meaning and thereby putting himself on the dangerous path of offense.
Haribol. Pirash Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Standard Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. I can continue.
Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhu.
Text 21. Soham तद्दर्शनालाद वियोगार्ते युत प्रभो गमिष्ये दयितं तस्य बदराश्रममण्डलम्. Synonyms: Sa aham, does myself, tat, his, darshana, audience, alada, pleasure, viyoga, without that, atriyuta, afflicted by distress, prabho, my dear sir, gamishye, shall go, daitam, so instructed, tasya, his, badar, badrashrama, badrikashram, in the Himalayas, mandalam, association. Translation: My dear Vidura, now I am mad for want of the pleasure of seeing him. And just to mitigate this, I am now proceeding to Badrikashram in the Himalayas for association, as I have been instructed by him. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. A pure devotee of the Lord, of the standard of Uddhava, constantly associates with the Lord in the double perception of simultaneous separation and meeting. The pure devotee is not for a moment unengaged in the transcendental service of the Lord. Execution of the Lord's service is the main occupation of the pure devotee. Uddhava's separation from the Lord was unbearable, and therefore he started to Badrikashram in obedience to the Lord's order, because the order of the Lord and the Lord himself are identical. As long as one is engaged in the execution of the order of the Lord, there is no factual separation from him. Haribol. And Prabhupada also used to say the same thing for spiritual master. If the order of spiritual master and the spiritual master is not different, as long as you're following spiritual master's order, you are in association with him.
Yes, Prabhu.
There is no separation. Sorry, bol. Text 22. Yatra narayano devo narascha bhagavan rishi mridu tivram tapo dirgham tepa te loka bhavanu. Synonyms. Yatra, where, Narayana, the personality of Godhead, Deva, by incarnation, Naraha, human being, Cha, also, Bhagavan, the Lord, Rishi, great sage, Mridu, amiable to everyone, Tivram, severe, Tapa, penance, Dirgham, very long, Te Pate, performing, Loka, Bhavanav, welfare of all living entities. Translation. There in Badrikashram, the personality of Godhead in his incarnation as the sages Nara and Narayana has been undergoing great penances since time immemorial for the welfare of all amiable living entities. Purport. Badrikashram on the Himalayas, the abode of the Naranarayan sages, is a great place of pilgrimage for the Hindus. Even up to the present, hundreds and thousands of pious Hindus go to pay respects to the incarnation of Godhead Naranarayana. It appears that even 5,000 years ago, this holy place was being visited by such a holy being as Uddhava, and even at that time, the place was known to be very, very old. This particular pilgrimage site is very difficult to visit for ordinary men because of its difficult situation in the Himalayas, in a place which is covered by ice almost all year. A few months during the summer season, people can visit this place at great personal inconvenience. There are 4 dhamas or kingdoms of God, which represent the planets of the spiritual sky, which consist of the Brahma Jyoti and the Vaikunthas. These are Badrikashram, Rameshwaram, Jagannath Puri, and Dwarka. Faithful Hindus still visit all these holy places for perfection of spiritual realization, following in the footsteps of devotees like Uddhava. So these are 4 dhams in India. In India, we call it as Char Dham Yatra.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Text 23. Shri Shuka Vacha Itti Uddhavad Upakarnya Suridam Dushaham Vidham Jnanena Mayat Chatta Shokam Upapitam Buddha. Synonyms. Shri Sukha Vacha, Shri Shuka Goswami said, Iti, thus, Uddhavat, from Uddhava, Upakarnya, hearing, Suridam, of friends and relatives, Dushaham, unbearable, Vadham, annihilation, Jnanena, by transcendental knowledge, Ashamayat, pacified himself, Shatta, Vidhura, Shokam, bewilderment, Utpatitam, arisen, Buddha, the learned. Translation. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, after hearing from Uddhava all about the annihilation of his friends and relatives, the learned Vidura pacified his overwhelming bewilderment by dint of his transcendental knowledge. Purport. Vidura was informed that the result of the battle of Kurukshetra was the annihilation of his friends and relatives, as well as the destruction of the Yadu dynasty, and also the passing away of the Lord. All this hurried him into bewilderment for the time being, but because he was highly advanced in transcendental knowledge, he was quite competent to pacify himself by enlightenment. As it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, due to our long association with bodily relationships, bewilderment on account of bewilderment on account of the annihilation of friends and relatives is not at all astonishing. But one has to learn the art of subduing such bewilderment with higher transcendental knowledge. The talks between Uddhava and Vidura on the topic of Krishna began at sunset, and Vidura was now further advanced in knowledge due to his association with Uddhava. Text 24. Satam Mahabhagavatam Vrajantam Kauravarshapha Vishrambhat Abhyadhattedam Mukhyam Krishna Parigrahe. Synonyms: Saha Vidura Tam onto Uddhava, Mahabhagavatam, the great devotee of the Lord, Vrajantam while going, Kaurava Rishabha, the best among the Kauravas, Vishrambhat out of confidence, Abhyadhatta submitted, Idam this Mukhyam onto the chief, Krishna, Lord Krishna, Parigrahe in devotional service of the Lord. Translation: While Uddhava, the chief and most confidential amongst the devotees of the Lord, was going away, Vidura, in affection and confidence, questioned him. Purport: Vidura was much older than Uddhava. By family relationship, Uddhava was a contemporary brother of Krishna's, while Vidura was as elderly as Krishna's father Vasudev. But although junior by age, Uddhava was much advanced in the devotional service of the Lord, and therefore he is described herein as the chief amongst the devotees of the Lord. Vidura was confident about this, and thus he addressed Uddhava in that higher category. That is the way of courteous dealing between two devotees. Text 25. Vidura Uvacha Jnanam Param Sat Swatma Raha Prakasham Yadaha Yogeshwara Ishwaraste Vaktum Bhavanno Rhatiyadrivishnur Bhritya Swabhrityartha Kritas Charante. Synonyms: Vidura Uvacha, Vidura said, Jnanam, knowledge, Param, transcendental, Swa-atma, regarding the self, Raha, mystery, Prakasham, enlightening, Yat, that which, Aha, said, Yogeshwara, the master of all mystics, Ishwara, the Lord, Te, unto you, Vaktum, to narrate, Bhavan, your good self, now unto me, Arhati, deserves Yat, for he, reason of Vishnu, of the Lord Vishnu, Briyat, servant, Subhrityartha Krita, of the interest of the servants, Charanti, do wonder. Translation: Vidura said, O Uddhava, because the servants of Vishnu, the Lord, wander in the interest of serving others, it is quite fit that you kindly describe the self-knowledge with which you have been enlightened by the Lord himself. Purport. So here Vidura, despite of like his fatherly age, he was like inquiring about Uddhava. He was taking knowledge from Uddhava, although Uddhava was just as his son's age.
Yes, Prabhu.
Because he was spiritually higher. Yep. Purport. The servants of the Lord are actually the servants of society. They have no interest in human society other than to enlighten it in transcendental knowledge. They are interested in imparting knowledge of the relationship of the living being with the Supreme Lord, activities in that transcendental relationship, and the ultimate goal of human life. That is the real knowledge which can help society achieve the real aim of human welfare. Knowledge in the matter of the bodily necessities of eating, sleeping, mating, and fearing, transformed into various branches of advancement of knowledge, is all temporary. A living being is not the material body, but an eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Being, and thus revival of his self knowledge, can you go down, is very essential. Without this knowledge, the human life is baffled. The servants of the Lord Vishnu are entrusted with this responsible work, and so they wander over the earth and to all other planets in the universe. Thus, the knowledge which was received by Uddhava directly from the Lord deserves to be distributed in human society, especially to persons like Vidura who are highly advanced in the devotional service of the Lord. Real transcendental knowledge descends in the disciplic succession from the Lord to Uddhava, from Uddhava to Vidura, and so on. Such supreme transcendental knowledge is not possible to achieve by the process of imperfect speculation as performed by the so-called learned mundane wranglers. Vidura was anxious to know from Uddhava that confidential knowledge known as Paramam Sthiti, in which the Lord is known by his transcendental pastimes. Although Vidura was older than Uddhava, he was anxious to become a servant of Vidura in the transcendental relationship. This formula of transcendental disciplic succession is taught by Lord Chaitanya also. Lord Chaitanya advises that one receives transcendental knowledge from anyone, whether a Brahmana or a Kshudra, a householder or a sannyasi, provided that person is factually conversant with the science of Krishna. A person who knows the science of Krishna is factually a bona fide spiritual master. Yeah, so the verse is Kiba Vipra, Kiba Shudra, Kiba न्यासी नहीं, जय कृष्ण तत्ववेत्ता सही गुरु है. किबा विप्र किबा न्यासी शूद्र के नहीं, जय कृष्ण तत्ववेत्ता सही गुरु है. That is the verse. Text 26. उद्धव उवाच ननु ते तत्त्वसम्राध्य ऋषि कौशारवो निक्ते साक्षात् भगवतादिष्टो मर्त्यलोकम जिहासता. Synonyms. Shri Uddhava Uvacha. Shri Uddhava said, Nanu, however, te yourself, Tattva Samradhya, one who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge, Rishi, learned scholar, Kausharava, onto the son of Kusharu Maitreya, Antike, staying nearby, Sakshat, directly, Bhagavata, by the personality of Godhead, Adishta, instructed, Martyalokam, mortal world, Jihasata, while quitting. Translation. Sri Uddhava said, you may take lessons from the great learned sage Maitreya, who is nearby and who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He was directly instructed by the personality of Godhead while he was about to quit this mortal world. So here Uddhava, he is redirecting Vidura to hear from Maitreya Rishi.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Purport. Also, I think Maitreya Rishi was elder. Yeah, he's elder to Uddhava in terms of age. Yeah, so out of respect and courtesy, Uddhava is doing that. Although in previous verses in Purport, we read that Uddhava, in terms of devotional service, his stature is much more higher than Maitreya. Maitreya Rishi was kind of mixed devotee. Prabhupada said in Purport and translation. In yesterday we read like that.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay. Purport. Although one may be well versed in the transcendental science, one should be careful about the offense of Maryada Vratikramana, or impertinently surpassing a greater personality. According to scriptural injunction, one should be very careful of transgressing the law of Maryada Vratikramana, because by so doing one loses his duration of life, his opulence, fame, piety, and the blessings of all the world. To be well versed in the transcendental science necessitates awareness of the techniques of spiritual science. Uddhava, being well aware of all these technicalities of transcendental science, advises Vidura to approach Maitreya Rishi to receive transcendental knowledge. Vidura wanted to accept Uddhava as his spiritual master, but Uddhava did not accept the post because Vidura was as old as Uddhava's father, and therefore Uddhava could not accept him as his disciple, especially when Maitreya was present nearby. The rule is that in the presence of a higher personality, one should not be very eager to impart instructions, even if one is competent and well versed. So Uddhava decided to send an elderly person like Vidura to Maitreya, another elderly person, but he was well versed also because he was directly instructed by the Lord while he was about to quit this mortal world. Since both Uddhava and Maitreya were directly instructed by the Lord, both had the authority to become the spiritual master of Vidura or anyone else. But Maitreya, being elderly, had the first claim to becoming the spiritual master, especially for Vidura, who was much older than Uddhava. One should not be eager to become a spiritual master cheaply for the sake of profit and fame, but should become a spiritual master only for the service of the Lord. The Lord never tolerates the impertinence of Maryada Vyatikraman. One should never pass over the honor due to an elderly spiritual master in the interest of one's own personal gain and fame. Impertinence on the part of the pseudo spiritual master is very risky to progressive spiritual realization. Impertinence, what's the meaning? I don't know. Rudeness, lack of respect.
Yes, Prabhu, this is going on in ISKCON. This is exactly.
Yeah.
Prabhupada warned about it many times in the purport.
Yeah. Text 27. Shri Sukha Uvacha. Iti saha vidhure na vishwamurter guna kathaya sudaya plavitoru tapha kshanam iva pulina yama swashustam samushita upagvir nisham tatogat. I'm sorry, I can't find tune for this. This is not fitting. Okay. Synonyms. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Shri Sukadev Goswami said, Iti thus Saha along with Vidhurena, Vidhura, Vishwamurte of the universal person, Guna Kathaya in the disclosure of transcendental qualities, Sudhaya, nectarian, Plavita, Urutapa, overwhelmed by great affliction, Shanam, movement, Eva, like that, Puline, on the bank of Yamaswasutam, river Yamuna, Samushita, passed on, Opagvi, the son of Opagva, Uddhava, Nisham, the night, Tatha, thereafter, Agata, went away. Translation. Sukdev Goswami said, O king, thus discussing the transcendental name, fame, qualities, etc., on the bank of the Yamuna, Vidura became overwhelmed with great affliction. He passed the night as if it were a moment, and thereafter he went away. Purport. The word used here for Krishna is Vishwamurti. Both Uddhava and Vidura were in great affliction because of Lord Krishna's departure. And the more they discussed the transcendental name, fame, and qualities of the Lord, the more the picture of the Lord became visible to them everywhere. Such visualization of the transcendental form of the Lord is neither false nor imaginary, but is factual absolute truth. When the Lord is perceived as Vishwamurti, it is not that he loses his personality or transcendental eternal form, but he becomes visible in the same form everywhere. Text 28. Rajovacha. Nidhanam upagateshu vrishnibhojeshwa adhiratha yuthapeshu murtya satu katham avashishta uddhavo yat Dharir api tat tat tatyaja akritim triadhishaha. Is there any tune for this one? Sami Prabhu, you know?
Is it the 11 syllable?
Nithanam upagateshu Vrishni bhojeshva.
Like
13. Adhirathani.
Nidan Rajovacha Nidanam Upagateshu Vrishni Bhojes Adhirata Yuthapeshu Mukhya Satu Katama Avashista. No, it is longer, I think.
Yeah, this doesn't fit in any tune.
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu. Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah,
I
sometimes.
I asked this from Dina Krishna Prabhu also. I got confused in fifth canto. There was many like this, and I couldn't find the
Yeah,
tune anywhere. And he
yeah.
said
For
sometimes,
some verses it is like that. Yes.
yes, Prabhu.
Synonyms. Raju Acha. The king inquired. Nidhanam, destruction. Upagateshu, having overtaken. Vrishni, of the Vrishni dynasty. Bhojeshu, the Bhoj dynasty. Adhiratha, great commander. Yuthapa, commander-in-chief. Yuthapeshu, amongst them. Mukhya, prominent. Sa, he. Tu, only. Katham, how. Avishishta, remained. Uddhava, yet, whereas Hari, the personality of Godhead. Api, also. Tatyaje, finished. Akritim, complete pastimes. Tri Adhishaha, the Lord of the three worlds. Translation. The king enquired, at the end of the pastimes of the Lord, one of the three worlds, Sri Krishna, and after the disappearance of the members of Vrishni and Bhoja dynasty, who were the best of the great commanders, why did Uddhava alone remain? So Parikshit Maharaj is asking here, right? The king inquired. Parikshit
Yes,
Maharaj is the king.
yes, Prabhu, I think so.
Yeah.
Must be.
Purport. So he is asking who remained there after Sri Krishna's disappearance from this mortal world. Okay. Purport. According to Sri Jiva Goswami, Nidhanam means the transcendental abode of the Lord. Ni means the highest and Dhanam means opulence. And because the abode of the Lord is the highest manifestation of transcendental opulence, his abode can therefore be called Nidhanam. Apart from the grammatical elucidation, the real purpose of the word Nidhanam is to indicate that all the members of the Vrishni and Bhoja dynasties were direct associates of the Lord, and after the end of his pastimes, all the associates were dispatched to their respective positions in the transcendental abode. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur elucidates the meaning of Akritim as pastime. A means complete and Kritam means transcendental pastime. Since the Lord is identical with his transcendental body, there is no question of his changing or quitting his body to act in accordance with the rules and customs of the material world. The Lord seems to take his birth or leave his body, but the pure devotees of the Lord know well the actual fact. It is necessary, therefore, for the serious students of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to follow the notes and comments of the great acharyas like Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. To others who are not devotees of the Lord, the comments and explanations of such acharyas may appear to be grammatical jugglery. But to the students who are in the line of disciplic succession, the explanation of the great acharyas are quite fit. The word Upagateshu is also significant. All the members of Vrishni and Bhoja directly reach the abode of the Lord. Other devotees do not reach the abode of the Lord directly, but the pure But the pure associates of the Lord have no attraction for the opulence of any planets of the material world. Sometimes, due to inquisitiveness, devotees who are to be promoted to the abode of the Lord have some attraction for the opulence of the higher material planets above the earth, and thus they desire to see them while going up to the perfection. But the Vrishnis and Bhojas were directly dispatched because they had no attraction for material planets. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also suggests that according to the Amarkosha dictionary, Akriti also means signal. The Lord Krishna ordered Uddhava by signal to go to Badrikashram after his departure, and Uddhava, as a pure devotee of the Lord, carried out the order more faithfully than going back to Godhead or the abode of the Lord. That was the cause of his remaining alone even after the departure of the Lord from the face of the earth.
Haribol. Okay, one more.
Text 29. Shri Sukhovacha Brahma Sapapdeshena Kalenamoghvanchita Samritya Swakulam Sprityam Tyakshan Deham Achintayat. Synonyms: Shri Shukovacha, Sukadev Goswami said, Brahma Sapta, cursing the Brahmanas, Apadeshena, on the plea, by such a show, Kalena, by the eternal time, Amogha, unfailing, Vanchitta, one who so desires, Samritya, closing, Swa, Kulam, own family, Spritam, excessively numerous, Tyakshyam, for disappearing, Deham, the universal form, Achintayat, thought to himself. Translation: Sukadev Goswami replied, My dear king, the cursing of the Brahmanas was only a play, but the actual fact is the supreme desire of the Lord. He wanted to disappear from the face of the earth after dispatching his excessively numerous family members. He thought to himself as follows. Purport: in this verse, the word Tyakshan is very significant in relation to Lord Sri Krishna's leaving his body. Since he is the eternal form of existence, knowledge, and bliss, his body and his self are identical. Therefore, how is it possible that he would leave his body and then disappear from the vision of the world? There is a great controversy amongst the non-devotees or Mayavadis about the mysterious disappearance of the Lord, and the doubts of those men with a poor fund of knowledge have been very elaborately cleared by Srila Jiva Goswami in his Krishna Sandarbha. According to Brahma Samhita, the Lord has many forms. It is stated therein that the Lord has innumerable forms, and when he appears within the vision of the living entities as Lord Krishna actually appeared, all such forms amalgamate with him. Besides all these infallible forms, he has his universal form, as manifested before Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Here in this verse, the word Spritam is also used, which indicates that he left his gigantic universal form called the Virat Rupa, not his primeval eternal form, because there is hardly any possibility of his changing his form of Satchitananda. This simple understanding is at once realized by the devotees of the Lord. But those who are non-devotees, who perform hardly any devotional service of the Lord, either do not understand this simple fact or purposefully raise a controversy to defeat the eternity of the transcendental body of the Lord. This is due to the defect called the cheating propensity of the imperfect living entities. By practical experience also, it is seen up to the present day that the Lord's transcendental form is worshipped by devotees in different temples, and all the devotees of the Lord factually realize that the form of the deity in the temple is not different from the form of the Lord. This inconceivable performance of the internal potency of the Lord is described in Bhagavad Gita, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavrita, Bhagavad Gita 7.25. The Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to everyone. In the Padma Puran, it is stated, Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grahyam indriye. The name and form of the Lord cannot be perceived by the material senses, but when he appears within the vision of the mundane people, he assumes the form of the Virata Rupa. This is an additional material exhibition of form and is supported by the logic of a subject and its adjectives. In grammar, when an adjective is taken away from the subject it modifies does not change. Similarly, when the Lord quits his Virata Rupa, his eternal form does not change. Although there is no material difference between himself and any one of his innumerable forms, in the fifth canto, it will be seen how the Lord is worshipped in different planets in his different forms, even now, and how he is worshipped in different temples of the earth also. Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur have very elaborately explained this incidence of the Lord's disappearance in their commentaries, quoting various authentic versions of Vedic literatures. We purposefully do not include them all here to avoid an increase in the volume of this book. The entire matter is explained in the Bhagavad Gita as quoted above. The Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to everyone. He always keeps himself out of the vision of the non-devotees who are devoid of love and devotion, and thus he puts them still further away from the Lord. The Lord appeared on the invitation of Brahma, who prayed before the Kshirodakshay Vishnu, and therefore when the Lord appeared, all the forms of Vishnu amalgamated with him, and when the mission was fulfilled, all of them disintegrated from him in the usual course.
Haribol. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Yep. I need to read this purport again after this.
Yes, Prabhu.
Very deep, very much information given. Yeah, so when Krishna left this mortal world, uh, I have read in Bhagavatam and everywhere that Krishna, he went with this body, which is Satchidananda, right? He did not leave this body here.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, but in this purport, it seems Prabhupada was mentioning that the universal form he left here.
Yes,
Like that.
Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yes,
And also, like anyone here, I saw video of like Lord Jagannath. And there it is said that the Lord Jagannath's deity, we have Krishna's heart there
mm.
in the deity of
Yes,
Lord
Prabhu. Yeah.
Jagannath.
Yeah, I
It
heard
is
this
true.
also. I don't remember like exactly, but there is.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
Prabhu. I don't
this is
remember if
like
it's.
everyone tells like that. But is there reference from scriptures?
No, Prabhu, I don't remember reference from Prabhupada, but I've heard this before also. So, but I've never
Yeah.
asked it from the. I've never asked this
Mm.
if someone knows about
Yeah, I
this.
think we have story of Lord Jagannath in Bhagavatam also. Nilachal.
Hmm.
You know which canto where we have that Lord Jagannath's? I don't know, but somewhere in Prabhupada books, the story is there of Lord Jagannath.
Yes, Prabhu.
Maybe in lectures. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, you
Okay,
remember
so
that's why Prabhu has explained this in the lecture, but it's so long a time ago that I forgot what.
oh, maybe in Jagannath that when Jagannath Yatra that day, maybe on that special occasion.
Yes, Prabhu, in some of those
Need to check.
lectures.
Yeah. Okay.
This is a little bit similar thing to when Sita Devi was kidnapped. She was not Sita Devi actually, but an imitation. Like
Yeah,
this.
Chaya, a
Yes,
shadow.
Prabhu.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's read the 6 Astakam prayers. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamaha davagninirvapanam Shreyah kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadu jivanam anandam bhutivardhanam pratipadam purnamritasvadanam sarvatmasnapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवि sorry नाम्ना मकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्तिस्तत्रार्पितानि अमितस्मरणेन कालः एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमित्रिशमिहा जनिनानुरागः
And now the peace and nature of the peace of the Amana
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितं वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद्भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि
हैनन्दतनुजा किङ्करां पतितां मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्थितधूलिसदृशं विचिन्तय
नयनं खलुदश्रिधारया वदनं खलुगते हृदया गिरा पुलकेर्निचितं वपुकथा तव नाम प्रहन्यो भविष्यति
युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्राविर्ष्यायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहेण मे
अश्लेषवापादरतां पिनष्टु माम् अदर्शनां मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः
Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings. And thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of your kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. Only one who causes devotional service birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on the end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling the separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me broken hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
Hari
श्री
bol.
शिक्षाष्टकम की जय.
Jai. Baujanma Karayadi Shavana Kirtan Taputana Paya Krishna Pade Premadan. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many birds, he will not get the love of God. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting.
The offenses against the chanting of the holy name are as follows. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees of the Lord who have dedicated their lives while propagating the holy name of the Lord. Second offense is to consider the name of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal or too independent. the name of Lord Vishnu. Third offense is to disobey the orders of the spiritual master and think himself as an ordinary person. Fourth offense is to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. Fifth offense is to consider the glories of chanting of Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Sixth offense is to give an interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. Seventh offense is to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Eighth offense is to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. Ninth offense is to instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Tenth offense is to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be an inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success, Krishna Prema.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like these are trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vancha
Vatshakalpatarubhyasya
कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च
कृपसindhubhyacha
पतितानां
patitanam
पावनेभ्यो
pavanebhyo
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो
vaishnavibhyo
नमः।
namo
Namaha.
namaha.
And the
Ananta
Gaudiya
Koti
Vaishnava
Vishnu
Jai.
Vishnu Ki Jai. Shri
जय
Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Jai.
जय
Nitai
Jai
Gaur
Gaur
Premanande.
Premanande. Hari Bol.
हरि हरि
Hare
बोल
Hare Bol.
हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu's for your association. Hari Bol. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Yes, Prabhu, I found something that is it's in the Skanda Purana somewhere, but it doesn't tell me what verses.
Where in Google or anything?
No, I tried to search through Prabhupada's lectures and other things, so but it just says somewhere in Skanda Purana.
Mhm.
And what happened
What it
was,
is said?
but yeah,
Mhm.
what the story says, what they say is that Krishna disappeared from this world. His body was cremated, but his heart or transcendental form did not burn and remained intact. This is
Mhm.
the story. This
Yeah.
mystical heart is known as the Brahma Padartha or Brahma, and
Yeah.
it is non-material. It was enshrined by King Indradumna within the wooden frame of Lord Jagannath, which is why Jagannath is not made by ordinary carpenters. This Brahma substance is ceremonically transferred into each new form of Jagannath during Navakalevara, renewal of the deities. Yeah, I watched this document of this, how they choose the new tree for all the deities and how the wood is uh, transformed to the puri,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it was
actually, the King Indradyumna, he got a dream, and in that dream,
oh yes,
Lord
Prabhu.
Krishna told him that there will be a wood in on the bank of uh,
Yes, Prabhu.
seashore or something like that. So,
Yeah.
and then Vishwakarma, he appeared as an old man, and he told Indradyumna that I will carve the deity out of that wood, but you should not interrupt me. And
Yes, Prabhu.
Vishwakarma, he was carving the deity in closed door. But then Indradyumna's wife, she interrupted, and then it was seemingly incomplete, the deity of Jagannath. So the story was like that.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, and Brahma Padartha, yeah. And that's what I saw in YouTube videos and everywhere.
Yeah, it is said that no one is allowed to see when it is
Yeah.
transferred. Even the head priest must be blindfolded or leaves
Yeah.
the temple. And
Yeah.
during Navakalevara, the old deity is buried in the temple grounds and the new one is carved and installed. The sacred Brahma is transferred from the old form and the new one with great, yeah, it's transformed then.
Yeah.
But
So is it
yeah,
all
but
real? I don't know still. I'm, uh, quite
yes, bro, this
hesitant
is
to
more
believe.
about what their like tradition, what they do. I don't know what the
Yeah.
Skanda Purana they say, but anyways, all the body parts and Krishna are non-different, and Lord Jagannath and Krishna is
Yeah.
non-different, so it doesn't make any difference actually. But
Yeah.
it is better because from the karmis and all the normal people, it makes them think that Krishna is the
Yeah.
the element helps because it represents the idea that Jagannath is not a different form, but Krishna himself. So in this way, if they think Krishna's heart is there, they can more easily connect that he is Krishna himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the Prabhupada doesn't much speak about the disappearance of Krishna, and also in that purport he said we don't want to include all these to not increase the volume of the book. He said like this. But yeah, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's disappearance and Krishna's disappearance, the devotees usually don't like to discuss them too much in detail. And
Yep.
thank you so much, Prabhu, for your session. It was really nice reading session.